A 23-year-old woman was stabbed multiple times by her stalker in South Delhi on Thursday morning. The woman is undergoing treatment at AIIMS Trauma Center. Her condition is critical. The accused allegedly followed her, tried stopping her, and then forcibly entered the cab booked by the victim, locked its door from inside, and stabbed her multiple times. The victim's relatives and family members have accused the police of inaction, saying that they had earlier filed a complaint that she was being stalked by the accused. This is something the police has denied. While this is the second case in a fortnight in Delhi, such cases involving violence on women by their stalkers have been reported by multiple states in the last few years. The common factor in all of these cases is that the accused stalked and harassed the victim for days before the murder or acts of violence. That brings us to the questions we asked tonight. Shouldn't the state and society take stalking more seriously? Are there any loopholes in the law that stop women from talking about the threats that they face from stalkers? And more importantly, what should women do and not do when they have a stalker? We have a panel of esteemed guests with us: Karuna Nandi, Advocate Supreme Court; Professor Dr. Vikram Singh, who's the former DGP of UP, and Dr. Jayanti Datta, who's a clinical psychologist and also a retired Delhi University professor. I first go to Ms. Nandi. Ma'am, let me just ask you straight away. There was this report by CHRI some years ago that noted that only 1 in 13 cases of sexual harassment in Delhi and 1 in 9 in Mumbai were reported to the police. And this was particularly regard to stalking. So what are the legal and societal challenges that women face while reporting stalking cases?
So that figure will be a huge underestimate, because if you're ever in any room full of women, and I recommend this to the viewers as well, and you say how many of you have ever been sexually harassed, then I think it's highly unlikely that there would be a single woman who hasn't been sexually harassed in any way, right? Now, this is not a tragedy. This is a disaster where there is responsibility. Not just the society has responsibility, but the government have responsibility. The state governments and the central government and successive governments have failed to do very much about this. In 2013, though, a law was brought in, the Criminal Law Amendment Act, which criminalized stalking for the first time under Section 354D. The problem there was that when the bill was tabled on the floor of Parliament, people like Sharad Yadav, who were in the UPA coalition, said that, "Lekin ye to rozmarra ki baat hai, hum to ladkiyon ka college mein picha karte hi the." And in that discussion, where some of the leading women in Parliament walked out because they were so offended by the kind of discussion that was being had over that bill. And through that discussion, unfortunately, what was initially a non-bailable offence became a bailable offence at the first instance, which means that somebody has to follow you repeatedly. You say no, and then you have to get a conviction, but until you get a conviction, they're free. So what is a woman to do who's already being threatened is unlikely to get police protection, because the police, there just isn't that capacity to protect every single woman who's being stalked. And the magistrates tell us that their hands are tied.
Right.
They tell us that we can see that this man is threatening this woman, but 503 and 506, which is criminal intimidation, that's bailable.
Right.
This is bailable. So what are we to do? Now, there are hacks around this. For example, Section 67A of the IT Act will apply if there are messages of a very sexual character that are unwelcome, right? In addition, if there's a domestic relationship, and this is now a wider and wider definition, then the Domestic Violence Act can come in and one can get a restraining order. But there's a huge number of stalkers that are just falling through the loop. And when we look at acid attacks, when we look at certain kinds of violence and rape, all of these were preventable.
Right.
But the law amendment failed to happen. And I hope this government is listening, because it has a clear majority. They speak a lot about preventing gender violence. This is something that's very easy to do.
Right. Dr. Datta, I was looking at the cases from the last 2 years and the pattern seems to be similar here. Many of these men are those who have been rejected for marriage or the woman has broken up with them. What should victims of stalking do and more importantly not do?
First and foremost thing, you should not fall prey to this kind of emotional liaison. You see what we have seen in the past also, that they have been friends, for some time. And then the minute the woman turns face and says no, she is either killed or cooked in the cooker or, made into number of pieces, 35 pieces, or she is taken in the car and killed. And, unfortunately, I've been raising this. I'll raise it at your platform also. It seems our law and our legal facilities are more perpetrator friendly than the victim friendly. Tell me, where is the Shraddha murders case? Where is the perpetrator? He is in the jail. You have not rendered the justice. Where is the protection in this country for women or for female children? We have not been able to. We talk about it. We talk about it in the media, and that's the end. Nobody really takes it seriously that a woman or a female child, if she steps out of the house, even sometimes inside the house, she's not safe. Have you rendered really a sensible judgment or punishment for showing as an example that this is what is going on? Now, about the police inaction, I'm absolutely agree with this, because had the police taken some kind of a cognizance when Shraddha put up a complaint, they say it's your own kind of an issue. If you want to withdraw. They encourage the victim to withdraw the complaint, and that's it. They will not investigate whether this victim, under some kind of a threat, was forced to withdraw. This is what I'm seeing even in case of children. Once the perpetrator is rounded up, they force the relatives of the children also to change their versions, change their reporting statement. I think this is high time when they are saying, the minute you say no, you will be butchered, you will be killed on the roads. And this is happening in Delhi. So you can imagine what must be the scenario in other states. And all luminaries, all legal luminaries are all sitting here. They listen to it. But I don't think anybody gets bothered whether the woman is killed by, making her into chopping her body into 35 pieces, or tying a cord around her neck, or cooking her body in the cooker. It's very unfortunate. People are really, really unsafe. Especially Singh, the young girls are very unsafe.
Yes. So, Dr. Singh,
I'm sorry. Are you, Dr. Datta, are you referring to me when you say that nobody really cares about this?
No. Certainly not. I don't think I will oppose you. I want you to be in my forum. I want your support, because you are the one who's raising some voice at least. It's a fact. You see, I deal with these cases.
We're not just raising voices, Dr. Datta. We participated in the making of the law, right? Many of us participated in the making of the law which criminalized stalking. It was not criminalized before. The trouble is,
let me share something. I take this
I'll have to talk to Dr. Singh first. I'll just come back to you.
I want to respond to Karuna.
And got rid of it.
I am a faculty with the Judicial Council of Delhi. In the making of POCSO, we wanted the capital punishment. We wanted that they should not be bailable. I am in the know-how of cases where the person have been rounded up for POCSO but has been bailed out. This is happening in Delhi.
Yes. So, Dr. Singh, can I take that question to you? So, when we talk about conviction rate in stalking, that remains low, and this is something that Ms. Nandi was also talking about. So, the cases of stalking are rising, which is nice. That means there's more reporting. But why is the conviction rate so low? And what can one do to basically sensitize policemen? Because every report that I read on stalking, the police seems to say that, oh, the boy and the girl, or the woman and the man knew each other, and this was something that. So, how do you sensitize police in such cases like this?
Vasudha, I'm in total agreement with the esteemed panelists, and I would say that we trivialize these cases. Stalking has assumed epidemic proportions, And what Ms. Nandi mentioned about great Sharad Yadav, that yes, हम लोग जब जवान थे तो सीटी बजाते थे, पीछा करते थे. So I only then I reacted, you speak for yourself, Mr. Yadav. If I had done the same, my parents would have made mincemeat of me in no time. Therefore, you cannot generalize and say that everybody was following it. Then a police station often doubles up as a boys' club where these things are taken in absolutely casual and a cavalier manner. And to talk it about all, scoff at the victim, make fun of the victim, make fun of the dress sense and also the manner and the time in which the victim was moving. These are things you very rightly mentioned. Sensitization, training, repetition, internalization, till it becomes a habit and we give the topmost priority to the investigation of stalking cases. Ms. Nandi is very right. I would like to pose a question that in the same 13th Criminal Law Amendment Act, the IPC was amended and incorporated Section 166A for such delinquent and irresponsible police officers who do not react appropriately in such gender issues and gender crime. Has a single case been registered? Has a single police officer been convicted or punished? No. So you see very obviously, we take these things too lightly, and whereas we should have given them the topmost priority, punish the delinquent police officers, punish those who were responsible. And yes, Ms. Nandi has a point. She has a legal and absolutely clear and a mind of absolute integrity. But a police officer, when he is determined, is never helpless. He has so many things in his arsenal that he can decimate the stalker. And as they say in Hindi, aisa कहर आया, आशिक इश्क भूल गए.
Right.
Let us see.
So, Ms. Nandi, I wanted to ask you this. I was looking at an interesting case from Gujarat, and unfortunately, here the stalker was using air tags to stalk a woman. So, in the cases of stalking, is it true that tech seems to have enabled these kind of techniques? And what kind of provisions does the law have to protect women against cyber stalking? You just spoke about the IT Act also, but when it comes to cyber stalking, knowing the location of a woman, using air tags, using GPS, is there any protection under law for women?
Yes, absolutely. Section 354D applies to stalking as well. And Section 354C applies to photos that have been used unlawfully. If there's hacking, then the IT Act applies, I think in Section 43. The phishing is also, illegal phishing. I mean, especially if something is obtained in return, then there's fraud. So, look, the sections are there. For the most part, there are some amendments that are required, but as Sir had just mentioned, the provision 166A is a very, very important one, and I would like everyone to remember it, because even though the cases aren't registered under Section 166A against police officers who do not record an FIR and who do not register an FIR when a complaint is made to them for either sexual harassment or molestation or indeed stalking, then it's important to remember that a complaint can be registered as an FIR against that police officer themselves for that failure to register. Now, earlier, a sanction to prosecute was required from the state government, and it was like waiting for Godot, it never arrived. However, now, now it's been a decade after 2013, when they hear that there is a possibility that this tool is there in the complainant's hands, sometimes I have seen that when a lawyer mentions it, almost always then the FIR gets registered, right? But I also want to say that, look, the backlash, with the low conviction rate, with the fact that these offences are bailable, and the fact that it only heightens the orientation of the stalker and the violence of the stalker to assault the woman, right? It ups the ante without the woman getting equal protection.
Right.
So then why should she go and complain? Why should a person go and complain to the police when the person's not going to go in jail, when she's not going to get witness protection, when even the conviction rate is low? So what is the incentive? So young women, and not just young women, older women, children, everyone is left to their own devices in the face of the most heinous potential crimes and waiting, almost for this stalker to come and in some instances to kill you, to rape you for an acid attack. How, in what universe is are the governments sitting on their hands and not doing anything about this?
Right.
Some
Right.
of this is, and a lot of this is in the power of the state governments. The union government has power. Parliament has power.
Right.
Why is this still a problem?
Right. Dr. Datta, one last question to you. There is something that needs to change about the popular culture too, because since the time I was growing up, we had movies like Dar, now you have Kabir Singh, you have Insta Reels. What should, what kind of movies and what kind of content should, popular culture depict so that something like stalking is not romanticized or justified?
See, if you don't take strict cognizance of this and don't come out with a very kind of a punishment, which is a deterrent, I don't understand why it has to be made bailable. If you make it at least non-bailable, then also you get some amount of protection. And I think, it's high time when these kind of things are happening, the community policing should be reintroduced. And I think the community should be made more aware, that if something like this is happening, you are not waiting for the police personnel to come and take the steps. The public can, it is becoming a regular feature. Public comes and they just the audience takes the videography, they do the video, they don't come out for helping the victim.
Right.
And this is happening because they are afraid, they are threatened. If we participate,
Right.
the whole
Right.
thing will fall on us.
Yes,
We
ma'am.
will not get the police protection.
Right.
I think this has to change.
Right. So that was a panel of experts on the seriousness of stalking, stalking as a crime. Thank you all three of you for joining me. And they've all talked about what women need to do and not do when they have a stalker. That's all the time we have for you in the news break. Thank you for watching NDTV.